riders heading in to the finish at Limoges. This is a peloton. The attempt by Munoz and Talmont to stay away from them has failed. They've drifted back in this group. They don't seem too interested at the moment. The gap must be around about 4 minutes between this group this group at the back, the peloton, with there the yellow jersey of Miguel Indurain, surrounded by his Benesto henchmen, who've ridden a tremendous race. Not only they've ridden a tremendous race, well, we're watching this now. Here's Indurain, but he's still got all his team round about him. If we looked across the whole of the teams in the Tour de France this year, they've all lost men. In fact, the Lotto team are down to only 2 riders left. 7 have dropped out, and the Benesto have just got all their team still in the race. And what, Gann only got 3 men left? Yep, they've lost a lot. Of course, they lost Chris Boorman on day one when he did his ankle in that crash, which I suppose was really a sign of things to come in this race, because we're down at 116 riders of 189 that started. So we've dropped some 73 riders so far, and Chris was first to go. I understand he's watching Eurosport's program back in Great Britain. We keep saying you'll get well messages, Chris. Let's hope you can make a recovery. And I know it must be very, very difficult with your ankle, but to know you're a tough competitor, and you must be wondering just on how earth you'd have come on through this race, through the mountains, through the heat. And we imagine that too. And we look forward to you back in action. And both, I'm sure Steve would join me in saying our best wishes for your attempt to keep the rainbow jersey around your shoulders when you go to Colombia in October. We'll certainly be showing that on Eurosport. All you people back at home, if you haven't got a dish, go and see a local dealer. It's not expensive, by the way. I know that many cycling clubs get the recordings of our programs and show it at the club room in the evening, or share it around amongst the mates, but they're not that expensive to have dishes today, and it's worth just checking out, because not only do you get live cycling on TV through Eurosport, and you don't have to pay anything, by the way. A lot of people think you've got to pay towards receiving Eurosport. Eurosport is free. It's up in the sky. All you need is a dish to get it. It's just other channels where sometimes you have to pay for a decoder, but you can certainly get Eurosport free. So, Chris, I hope you're well, I won't say enjoying yourself. You must be absolutely sick as a pig what's gone on, but speedy recovery.
Yes, I would also say the same thing, Chris. No, it's a pity we aren't here. Nobody would know really. Nobody can tell what you would have done here, whether you would have been good or bad or whatever, different. But at the same time, it's there's always next year, and you've seen the likes of Jalibert after his horrible accident last year. He came back, and there's great things this year. We know you still have to prove yourself here on the mountains, what have you, but the most important thing is, I was reading the kit this morning, reading through it, I could see you have the morale is there, and you are, of course, motivated for next year. But the important thing, of course, is to keep the motivation, and nothing comes overnight, so just keep the training in, and maybe a little less theory, maybe, but at the same time, keep knuckles down to the grindstone, and you get there somewhere, wherever there is, you get there sometime.
Well, there speaks a man, Stephen Roche, who people who followed his career some years ago remember when you, Stephen, had a somewhat similar thing, only it had long-term effect when you crashed in the 6th day and hurt your knee, didn't you? You had to battle back against that, operations. We hope in your case, Chris, it's not going to be like that, and you're soon to a speedy and 100% recovery.
Well, the only thing is, one thing I can advise Chris is to do that, not to go back on the bike before a doctor tells you to go back on the bike, because one thing riders always do, as sportsmen always do themselves as well, I'll go out and try it. I'll go out and see if it's still sore. You don't go out and see if it's still sore. You ride your bike and you stay under the pain. You don't go out and just to try it and see what it's like. You wait till a week later rather than going back a week earlier. Because what happened to me was I kept feeling so good. I used to go back, and because I had so much class, I was hurting myself and going 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards all the time. So, and Chris, you have a lot of class as well. So I'm sure when you get back on your bike, you'll find yourself all of a sudden going reasonably well very quickly. Whereas sometimes that can be more of a bad thing than a good thing, because when you feel the legs good, you want to start racing, you want to start hurting yourself again. Whereas when you have operations, the injuries are never really healed as quick as we feel. So my advice to you, Chris, would be to just take it easy and go back a week later rather than go back a week earlier, because going back a week earlier cost me two more operations. And it's when I look back on it now, I ask myself, what would I have done if I had only had 1 operation instead of having 3 operations? But it is a very, very common mistake made by all athletes. I know yourself from listening to you on television, from reading some of your articles, I know you are very impatient to get back and show what you can do. That people so far are talking about what you can do, but nobody's actually seen you doing things in the mountains or whatever. So I'm sure you want to get out and show everybody that you are as good as some people think you are, and a lot better than other people think you are. So one thing I would just say to Chris is to be patient, and if you have it, it'll come out in the end.
And I think that's so, you were saying of any injuries too, but it's also when people get the flu and other sickness. I think we've all gone through, all cyclists think, right, I feel better now, I'm going to go out training again. And I know particularly the flu was always, I used to get it very regularly, and I go back too soon, and it took weeks to get over the thing. We're all so enthusiastic to get back, and we think we're okay, but it can be a bit, and it can push you back a bit. Hello, I'm just looking at the screen. I rather thought I saw somebody jumping around at the front, but this is the leading group then coming up towards that climb, such as it is, the final one of the day, the Côte de Villeneuve. According to Adelaide, 29 kilometres to go to the finish. They go past the Johan Museo and Franz Maassen supporters, clubs sitting on the side of the road. They've been with us all the way through. They must take 3 weeks holiday to come watch this race. That's Bakker 1:23. Ekimov pulled up the front. Then there is Armstrong, who said to me he wanted to go for the stage in Limoges in the Motorola colours. That's the little group going up here at the moment. The Rada Kalaji from the Z team just behind them. The Brunel in the pink. Coming up towards the top of this climb. It's not going to hurt the legs at all. And over the top then goes the ZG Rada Kalaji first across the line. And this group's still working together.
But the group of the group that is here in the front, Lance Armstrong will be the fastest. But I think one problem he's going to find as he gets in closer to the finish is that his Armstrong attacking, is it?
It is, he's gone. Armstrong has gone. The sort of thing he did in the World Championship at Oslo. They went up the last of the wet climbs. He took off there and took them all by surprise. They were just splashing through the spray. There was terrible, terrible conditions there in Oslo. And now with the sun beating down, temperature up in the mid-30s, Armstrong has gone like a rocket. 29 kilometres to go.
What I was going to say was that because Lance Armstrong being one of the fastest in the group, having riders like Ekimov in the group with him, I thought, well, he might try and get away. Maybe before the finish, but Lance Armstrong now has cut them all nothing now, so he's riding away from them. So it'll be interesting to see now the reaction behind. Will somebody try to ride after him, or will they just ease up? As you can see here, there's nobody actually. There's the replay of the attack.
Now that's super tactics, wasn't it? They all sit up top of a hill. You can see him reaching down, have a bottle, something to eat, and he just knew what he was going to do, and he's gone. That's good tactics.
Well, I'm sure he was conscious as well of the fact that being with the likes of Ekimov in the group here, like Ekimov is the kind of a rider who won't wait for the sprint, and Brunel are the same. They're guys that will just fly. So I'd say that he was afraid of them attacking first, so it's very clever of him to have a go first.
And of course, the other man, Chandra, in that group too, is very quick indeed. But can Armstrong stay away? There are still 11 men chasing him down. Armstrong timed that jump off the top of the final climb of the day, just that fourth category rolling hill of the Côte de Villeneuve, and off he went, and the rest of the group now are wondering who's going to do the chasing down. Of course, the consternation is here. There's two of the MG team, but otherwise it's one man that's got nobody else to do the chase. They've got to decide to do it together, haven't they? Look at them looking back. It's your turn, chaps. No, it isn't. No, it's my turn, Sid. No, it isn't. It's Charlie's turn. They're not having a go, are they?
No, that's it. The problem is, even though you have two of the MG riders there, you have Chandri and Yerman, the two of them have equal chance of winning. So who's going to sacrifice himself to ride after him and then take the risk then that when they do catch him, then has somebody else will attack. So the problem is now everybody's afraid of the other guys. Like Armstrong now has such a gap now to get him back. It's going to take an awful lot of riding. So this could be the move of the day by Armstrong. I can see him going a long way now.
And look how his legs are flying round. He'll get what a friend of mine called twiddlebunk if he's not careful.
Well, this part of the road, he had a three-quarter tailwind here, and from now in it's not actually a flat road, but it's a very rolly road, so we'll be able to turn a big gear here, and it's very good for him.
The determination on Armstrong's face. 26 kilometres ago, he is the team captain at Motorola, and we all know that Fabio Casartelli rode for Motorola. The chase is now on to try and pull back that to Motorola rider. Let me tell you all at home, if you didn't get our message already, we've had one letter saying, where can I send a fund towards Casartelli's fund for his family, particularly his wife and his young child. I'll give it out to you now. The attacks are coming thick and fast, and Armstrong is away at the front. You can send to the Motorola Fund for the benefit of Marco Casartelli. Motorola Fund
Fabio.
for the benefit. Well, I suddenly put Marco. I don't know why. It's Fabio, but on the printout here, it says Marco. I presume that might be his young son, is it? I don't know.
Oh, possibly,
but
yeah.
it's printed out here, and it says Motorola Fund to the benefit of Marco Casartelli. Any case, it goes to the... let's say it again, it's written down here, and a handout from the Motorola people, and it clearly says this Motorola rider is away now with 25 kilometres to go to Motorola Fund for the benefit of Marco Casartelli.
Yeah, it's actually the son of Fabio.
I thought it would be. So it's Marco, his young son, who I think he's only about 4 months old. It is his benefit. So if you'd like to contribute to that fund in memory of Fabio, the Olympic champion who crashed on that short descent in the Pyrenees, it goes then to Motorola Fund for the benefit of Marco Casartelli, care of Harris Trust and Savings Bank. That's the Harris Trust and Savings Bank. Attention, Patricia Doherty, D-O-H-E-R-T, Doherty, 111-3C, C for Charlie, 111-3C, 111 West Monroe Street, that's M-O-N-R-O-E, 111 West Monroe Street, Chicago, 111 again, with a dot after it, and the zip code then is 60603. In fact, that Chicago is Illinois, isn't it? It's not 111, it's I-double-L. It didn't print it very well here, I'm sorry about that. So Chicago, Illinois, 60603 in the USA. And if you wish to contribute to that fund, then that's the address. It'll also be printed, I'm sure, in the cycling press, but I think that's a very worthy effort that people have already written in and said they'd like to contribute to that fund to Marco Casartelli, the young son of Fabio Casartelli. Armstrong still on his way then. This group of 12 men down to 11. Less than 25 kilometres to go.
Well, yeah, finding it very difficult to get themselves organised now. 2, 4, 6, yeah. Finding it difficult in getting organised. So Armstrong now, it's going to be very, very difficult to get him back. There's no more hills now to the finish either, so it's not as if he can die. It's very, very long, wide open roads to the finish, so great move. We see the speedometer here on the clock, 63 kilometers an hour on a motorbike here.
So travelling at nearly 40 miles an hour, Armstrong showing enormous determination. When I spoke to him before the Pyrenees, he looked at to me and said that he was having every day, he was having to ride at 100%, trying to win stages, and he was getting tired just doing that. He thought he'd take a bit of a rest, and then he'd try and get the stage at Limoges. We saw him go away on the stage into Revel with Uchikov. He tried to get that stage, he failed in the sprint, and Uchikov got past him, and we thought that was it. But a renewed Armstrong now is away in the front of this group that went away way back in the start of the race. So a rider like Chandri went away almost from the gun. It's been forming, reforming, breaking and reforming, and now Armstrong was in a group that had probably been away for well over 100 kilometres. Look at the way he's going.
There's more actually downhill now from now to the finish than uphill, so you can see he has his 53.12, turning the pedals very, very fast, so it's going to be difficult now for this group to catch him at this speed.
Armstrong, winner of a stage in 1993 in Verdun, now has a lead of 20 seconds on this group.
We see Laurent Defoe, we see everyone's kind of having a little go, but nobody's actually making any effort to bring down the gap between themselves.
Soon Armstrong will see the 20 kilometre to go point, and he has a lead of some 20 seconds. The main pack is nearly 4 minutes back. Armstrong desperately trying to win the stage into Limoges. Absolutely flat out, this group of 11 riders. They were 12 strong until they came over that final little conk of the day, some 24 kilometres from the finish. Armstrong rocketed away, caught them all napping, and his gap is something in excess of 20 seconds here. They're determined now to chase him down, and look how the legs are flying round. Akimov goes through. Brunel's just had his turn on the front. In this breakaway group then, coming through, we find the rider from the ZG, Kalage. Also in here, that's Chandri, Maximilian Chandri, that took the first sprint of the day after 32 kilometres being covered. Yaman here, who tried to get away yesterday de Bordeaux is going through. The two riders in Festina, Jean-Cyril Robert and Dufo are in this one, and they now are thundering along here. In fact, he's beginning to split up because Armstrong is inside the final 20 kilometres to go. At the back there is Brunel. The 11 men with Armstrong. He took them all by storm. He's battered away here, but the speed at which they're going now, it's amazing how Armstrong's managed to go away. He caught them napping, but he's still going even on the flatter part.
He is, but the thing with Lance is that he's on his own, so he hasn't got to worry about anybody else. Whereas these riders here, when they're going to the front, they're not actually giving it 100%. They're holding it back in case that, they know that, there's somebody always keeping under the pedal, so they're not going to go flat out and close the gap down for somebody else. So the difference with Lance is he's on his own, so he knows that if he's caught, he may not win the stage. So it's everything going for him if he can stay out in front. And I think that one thing he has in his mind is the fact that the other day when he arrived at the Revel with the Colombian rider, that with the Russian rider with Uchikov, he was so sure of himself to win. He underestimated Uchikov, and Uchikov bet him in the sprint. So I'm sure that's staying in his mind. So he feels now he's better off riding in on his own. I mean, sure of the win than waiting for this group, because I'm sure this group, if he'd gone further in towards the finish, I'm sure it would have been, well, I won't say it was difficult for him to win, but he would have had some difficult moments, because Brunel, I'm sure, would have gone for an early one. So would Chandry, so would Yerman, so would Ikimov. So he would have to control an awful lot of men to guarantee himself the sprint. So I'm sure Lance realised that himself and saw the lull in the peloton on the Preem and just took off. But he took off with some power. Now the gap was 50 seconds, so it's going up all the time, Dave.
Lance Armstrong, winner of the DuPont Tour this year, when he beat Ekimov overall by some 2 minutes. Now Ekimov is back in this chasing group then. Lance Armstrong, winner of a stage in the Tour de France a couple of years ago into Verdun, has thrown down the gauntlet. 50 seconds is his lead.
That's Taffy and Chandry. Chandry on the front now, having a go, and Andreas Taffy after getting on his wheel. So, but they must get it together soon. You see Henry kind of half sitting up, but you have to get it together soon, otherwise there's no way they're going to catch Lance Armstrong. This is the amazing part about a breakaway group, David, with us split up. We have Lance Armstrong in the front. These boys here are not giving it enough to bring the gap down, but then at the same time, when somebody attacks, everybody goes after him, and everybody wants to catch the guy that's going away, but nobody wants to put the 100% effort in to catch the guy in the front. So sometimes it's very much amazing.
Let me then remind you of the riders in this group. As we see, it looks like the Mercaton Uno rider trying to go away here. Lely on the right-hand side of your screen. That is rider number 175. I'll now run down the rest of the numbers in this group for you. Want to jot them down and who they are. 175, we've just seen Lely trying to go away to join Lance Armstrong, who's in the lead. Brunel in the pink there is number 63. Ekimov, 164. Dufo, 54. His teammate in the Festina colours is Robin, number 59. Number 157 is Chandry. Number 14 is Chengialta. Fedigato, who we just had a little look at, just seeing where he is now. Yes, he's 208 in that group at the moment. And Yaman 155. We're up the front then with legs 11. In fact, there's 111 legs, in fact, and that is Lance Armstrong now. The gap growing all the time.
Of course, having Henny Kuiper beside you is also a little bit of a help also, like Henny Kuiper himself being ex-Olympic champion and had a fantastic career himself on cycling, and I know that a lot of the riders in the Motorola team have a lot of respect for Henny Kuiper, so I'm sure Lance is having Kuiper beside him does give him a little help as well.
Well, I mentioned some time ago, Stephen, how I was happy to see Peter Post in the village this morning. I was with Peter when we saw Henny Kuiper win the first stage for the TR Rally team way back. I think it was 1976 that was when it happened, and Kuiper's still in the sport, director sport. He would be pleased to know now, not only is Armstrong ahead of the peloton by 6:15, but the gap is growing back to those 11 men that had kept him company for something about the last 60 or so kilometres.
Well, I was very surprised really to see the telecom team not doing anything, because even though Ferrigato was on the Telecom Casartelli team with the mixture of Telecom and ZG. He's not actually riding for their team, so I think that I thought that the Telecom would have ridden for Isabel, because today was an ideal finish for him, so I thought they would have tried something, whereas as you can see on the front of the peloton, there's not even a small reaction from the Telecom team. The gap is now at 49 seconds. It's just hovering around the 49-50 seconds. So you can imagine if they only got half organised behind, they could maybe catch Armstrong. But for the moment, Lance is doing it all by himself.
Fortunately, there is a following wind. This man who was a champion of America with 13 kilometres to go, he's champion as a triathlete, and the triathlons, you have to be able to swim what they call the Olympic distance, 1.5 kilometres in the water, 1.5 kilometres in the water, and then you go and ride your bike for 25 miles and you run for 10 kilometres after that. And Armstrong showed all-round fitness to become a national champion of America as a triathlete. He's using that all-round fitness now to drive a wedge between himself and these chasing 11 riders. The gap is around about 50 seconds, getting toward the 10-kilometre go point. Furious chase to try and pull back Lance Armstrong. In Limoges, where they're heading to now, there's been 10 finishes in the Tour de France in the past. The last winner was Montpon in 1990. If we go back to 1951, when it's first used as a finish in the Tour, they come along the side of the Vienne there. Roussel 51, Vivier 52, De Philippe in 60, Janssen in 63, 67 was Stablinski, who was one of the chaps helping out on the race at the moment, the great John himself. The Tour departed from here in 1970 when Eddie Merckx also had that stage coming back into the town. Ras won in 77, Lammert in 85, Munoz in 88, but he tried earlier on this morning to get with a break, which eventually got pulled back, so Gianni is back in the pack now, nearly some 5 minutes in arrears of Armstrong. And in 1990, Bontempi himself took the stage, and the chase is on then. Armstrong still around about 50 seconds, and every man in this bunch would like to pull him back to try and get that victory in Limoges. Taffy and then back up, two of the chasers who just got themselves off the front. Taffy going like a man possessed here. So is Armstrong in front. Dembaka coming through.
Taffy was a teammate of mine with the Carrera team in the latter years, 92, 93. And then he changed teams last year, then going to the Mappe team. He lost actually 10 kilos because he got a kick in the backside from the fact when Carrera let him go, because he had no team to go to him. And then Rominger, that he was good friends with Rominger, so Rominger said, okay, come, I'll do something for you, but you must do what I say. So Rominger brought him with him, and his team looked after him and told him, listen, you're a big guy, but you're too heavy for riding a bike. So they put him on a certain diet, and he lost, I believe, almost 10 kilos, Dave, since last year. And this year he's having an incredible season, so he is.
That's the man the Stephen's just been talking about. Taffy has always been in the thick of things. He's doing the same things in the Tour of Italy. He'd go very, very hard indeed. Then Bakker behind him, who could not ride the Tour de France last year because his sister died and he had to go back home to funeral. Has now been in the action several times. We've seen this fellow going for the TVM team.
We just saw Taffy there when he was riding on the front. Before he pulled over, he just gave a little nudge of his elbow. That's something the same as we use when you're riding a team time trial. Maybe we might stand back there doing it now, but next time Taffy's in the front, watch him. He rides in the front. Before he pulls across, just gives a little nudge of his elbow. That's telling the guy behind that it's time to come through, because you can imagine if you're riding on the front, you're doing, say, 45 kilometers an hour, the hammer's down, and the guy behind you on the wheel is trying to come past you, and you're still giving it full pressure. It's more difficult to come through. So normally what to do is give it a little nudge of your elbow and you ease up. So it means that it makes it easier for the guy behind you to come through and keeps the whole thing more homogene with the speed you're going. Harmony, sorry, Dave, homogene, harmony. It's in French. More in harmony.
I'm going to say that's something to do with the blood in English. Lance Armstrong, this lovely top shot down here, the sun on his back when he comes from Texas, where, as I say, such a big county, Texas. You can go through Texas, and the old thing the Texans say, the sun is riz, the sun is set. We ain't got through Texas yet. Well, this man has been used to hot conditions, and he had quite an amazing upbringing. He was very rebellious when he was a young man, and he could have strayed off the straight and narrow, but he became the short distance champion of triathletes in '88 and 1990 in America. 5'10", 170 pounds of muscle, taking through this 10-kilometre to go point, just about 50 seconds ahead of these two chasers.
The group now, the following group behind now, are still not getting organised, so it's going to be very difficult to get Armstrong back. But those two riders, Taffy and Bowman, Denbrecker, are riding very hard. So they still, you know, I find it difficult to think they're going to catch Armstrong. Even if they do catch Armstrong, Armstrong wouldn't have it won, because Denbrecker is a good sprinter as well. But at the same time, after riding in the front for so long, the last 20 kilometres, the three of them will be each one will be as good as the other, because after riding like a time trial in the front, it's not going to be very strong for sprinting.
This man Armstrong is maybe 1 in 10 million. He's one of these chaps then who can ride at 185 beats per minute with his heart. In fact, he can sustain over 190. And his muscles, by the way, process his lactic acid, which in fact freaks most people out so quickly that in fact when he's had tests at university and so on, they said he was just 1 in 10 million. Now this group know they've got a real man to contend with. There's only, 4 riders here, because down the road, Chaffee's gone away with Denbacker, and these chaps don't seem to be able to get their act together as Armstrong goes further and further and further away.
We see one of the following cars now going up to the front. We didn't see whether it's a Mappe or TDM, but anyway, they're going up to the front. There's a pack coming out the front of the bunch, or Dave. You can't see who it is, but...
So still the chase is on. Armstrong leads by some 50 seconds from these two. In fact, it's 1 minute and 15 seconds a gap between Armstrong and these two riders. They're inside about 8 kilometres to go. Then Backer on the front, Taffy coming through, Armstrong in the lead. And what's left of the 11-man group now down to 9 chasing. Oh, sorry, yes, there's 9 chasing behind these two, have fragmented, and the main field are probably something like about 5 minutes back. And look at the spit coming off the face here of Taffy.
Well, today has been another exceptionally warm day, so these riders today will be using, I'd say, yesterday I was listening to Cheery Murray last night on television, and he was saying that if he used 20 bottles yesterday, he used 25. They reckon that he used well over 20 bottles yesterday, and I think today it's going to be the same. Even though the stage is shorter, today is hotter because they're going more inland today. So when you start drinking something like, or using, either you drink it all or not, but going through some 20 bottles, an awful lot of liquid to be using up during the day. But then they are losing a lot in sweat because it's very, very hot here today.
We're back with Armstrong at the front. This man in the Olympics, when he rode there for the American team, he took a right old pasting then, and that was an off day for him. And so he decided to turn pro, and he went and joined the 711 or Motorola in those days. They've been chased down by these two riders now. And the amazing thing about the man they're chasing down now, his first pro race, the Classic of San Sebastian, which we're going to bring you on Eurosport, about 2 weeks' time from now. He finished 111th, dead last, right off the back, 30 minutes back. It was raining, he said, but he had to finish. And he had still in his pocket, did Armstrong, the ticket to go back from the Olympics, because that took place in Spain, back to Texas, and he could have gone back and said, no, I had enough, I can't turn pro, I'll go back and stay as an amateur. These riders now chasing down Armstrong know of his quality, because he went on then to be second in the Championship of Zurich, not long after the San Sebastian Classic, and from then on he became champion of the world. These riders know they've got their work cut out. What must be going through their heads now, Stephen?
Well, I'm sure they're saying to themselves now, we shouldn't let him go. As I'm sure, because at the same time, what can you do? He got them completely by surprise, so whoever had gone after, whichever rider had gone after him first would have been jeopardising his own chances. So then even still, once Armstrong got the gap, then it is very difficult to get him back, because he can ride very, very fast. Even though he's not a great time trialist, in a small sport like this, he can ride very fast.
And he's up on the tops here because there's very little oxygen in the air. It's baking hot. It has been all day. It's got hotter and hotter. Temperatures then in the mid-30s. Dembaka with Taffy trying to catch Armstrong. The gap's only like 1 minute and 15 seconds. They go on that railway bridge across the Vienne.
As we're coming in now to the 5 kilometers to go banner at the moment, so we'll take a time check on it now and see 1:23.
You would say that. They probably did. I was just going to get my watch out on that part.
The gap is actually going up.
Despite the attempts then of the Mapei rider Taffy and the TVM rider Dembaka, Armstrong is going further and further away.
There we have another
Sferigato
coming away from the main breakaway group, but this is the problem is today. They all try to be going for themselves, but if you get there's already 1 or 2 riders at the road, so they should actually be riding together maybe and trying to bring down the gap. But instead of doing that, they're attacking each other and breaking themselves up into smaller groups, and in that way there's no way they'll get anywhere except for 5th, 6th and 7th and then the ultra runs.
A massive crowd on the outskirts of Limoges, that famous town for the enamelling and porcelain making, which is still very much largely part of the Limoges economy. This is the 5 kilometre to go point, which I pressed my watch and about 10 seconds later. So it is, yes, over 1 minute still between Armstrong here and the 2 chasers.
I think we will see another very good bunch sprint now coming in here from the bunch, and they will be coming in some 6 minutes or so down on Armstrong, because the finish here was set up like yesterday. It's set up for a really good straight sprint, so it'll be interesting to see today if Abdul Jafarov can sprint straight.
And in the background, that's the BMX track. You saw a lad actually on his little motorcycle. In Limoges, they've got a very, very strong BMX team still going. BMX is very, very strong still in France. In fact, all over Europe, they have up to 1,000 riders still taking part in the sport, which is an American invention. And the national championships, world championships, will be in Great Britain next year. So all your BMXers get down to the world championships in Great Britain next year. I hope we can perhaps show you that on television on Eurosport. We have done it once in the past. But at the moment, this is stage 18 of Tour de France from Montpon and Menesterol to Limoges. 166 kilometres, Armstrong in the lead. 4 kilometres to go then for those chasing riders. Then the gap hovering at around about a minute 15. Yes, we are 1 complete kilometre.
Yeah, 3 kilometres for Armstrong, 4 kilometres for Taffy and Dembaka. I'm sure he feels himself almost home and dry now, so I'm sure he must be feeling an incredible amount of satisfaction inside him, because when he finished second in Revel the other day, and since then, of course, the tragedy we had the other day in the Motorola team, coming out now and winning a stage on his own, like there was nobody's letting him win today. It was Armstrong against the rest. So winning the stage today for Armstrong, I'm sure will be also a very emotional day for him, I'm sure.
Every picture tells a story. It just shows here Taffy, who is no mean man when it comes to rolling a great rate or not, just cannot pull back the flying figure of Armstrong. Dembaka seems to have sat in the wheels. He tries to come through, but he doesn't have the power of Taffy, and there's still something like about a kilometre separating these riders. So they go to the 3. Armstrong must be around about the 2 kilometres to go. Looks like the race is over then for the first spot. These two could be battling it out for third, providing Armstrong shows the strength that he's had ever since he took off with about 29 kilometres to go and went down the other side of the little climb, and everyone is most surprised by his attack. And here he is then coming up, yes, to 2 kilometres to go. He looks like he's losing a bit of ground at the moment, but probably just enough to keep himself informed should they close the gap.
But he will know now how far the other lads are behind him, so he'll know that he's ridden so hard. If he uses up a small bit, he'll still have a certain amount of time to play with. So he knows now the stage is won, so he's not worth his while breaking his heart for a couple of seconds here and there, because he's no longer down for the general GC. But at the same time, he wants to ride hard enough not to be caught. But so far, I'm sure he knows now that he's well clear. We see he came off here, and Diffo after getting away from the original breakaway group, but unfortunately for them a bit late.
So the bird has flown and is away now, heading in toward the finish, but then Dufo, together with Feligato and Ekimov, trying to get up to that one lone rider down there in the distance, because there's still lots of prizes every day. They come out with about 25 prizes from first back to 25th, but of course it's a glory too of winning the stage, which so many people want. Armstrong out in the lead at the moment, won his stage in the first time in the Tour de France, when in 1993 he took stage 8 in the Tour. Ekimov there has also been a stage winner in the Tour de France. He knows what it's like. He tried yesterday in Bordeaux to do it, but it's not to be.
As the three-man group catch Taffy and Dunbecker. Pity didn't catch them a little earlier, maybe. If they caught them a little earlier, maybe they might have been able to get Armstrong. I'm saying a pity. I'm happy to see Armstrong winning as well, for me to say for themselves. They got together a little bit earlier. They might have been able to catch Lance Armstrong. But that's the way racing goes.
And here is Lance Armstrong with 1 kilometre to go. He's got that power then to ride at 185, even 190 beats per minute on his hard. He's used that, he's punished his body coming in. He did somewhat the same thing in the wet in Oslo to go away. He looks back now, but that chasing group behind him is probably about 50 seconds behind, and they're not working very well at all as Feligato piles off the front then. It's been a red-hot day in the saddle today for these riders. Temperatures in the 35 degrees. Well, Lance Armstrong is a great fan of that group, Red Hot Peppers, and he's chosen today to put in a red-hot performance. These riders just cannot catch him.
Now they're riding for second place now, they are.
Well, I'm sure that Lance's mother will be absolutely cheering him on. I think he was born when she was only about 17 years of age, so the time gap, age gap between himself and his mother is not all that great. She's a great enthusiast for Lance here and his cycling, and she'll be overjoyed with that, I'm sure. She was there when he won the World Championships at Oslo, and right now, wherever she is listening to this, perhaps on the radio, she'll be overjoyed that her son is doing this great ride now. And too, deep down in Armstrong's heart must be the fact that he's riding this one not just for his own benefit, not to put his name there for the second time as the stage victor in the Tour de France, but in memory of Fabio Casartelli, who died there in that crash in the Pyrenees. It absolutely gutted the team, but they decided that Fabio would like them to go on riding. There's been no gift today. When the team rode in the day afterwards into Po, they had, and he's pointing to the sky to Fabio, as I say, he would do it for his mate. He's done it today. What a great gesture from Lance Armstrong. When the team rode into Po, there was silence there, but everybody knew the team had been allowed to come across the line for, but Armstrong has done it today for Fabio Casartelli. He's pointing up there to where the man is up there, I'm sure, in his spirit, and today it's helped this great Texan come in to win the stage. It was no gift. He rode himself out, and he takes the stage for Motorola and for Fabio's family and for Lance Armstrong. A brilliant ride by the Texan. Well done, son.
Excellent, Dave.
Feligato coming into second place, Italian rider for the ZG Selly team, managing to pry himself away from that fast-moving group. There were 12 of them at one time. Armstrong went away on that final climb of the day with some 29 kilometres to go. He rode those all on his own as Ekimov comes in to third spot for the Novell team. Ekimov beaten to second place by Armstrong in the DuPont Tour this year. And over the line, Dufo, Dembaka and Taffy come in to finish the stage today. And for Mercatonuna, Massimiliano Lelli crosses the line some 56 seconds down. Just shows you how Armstrong split that group on the final run-in. He took the initiative on the run-in. He went away and they all tried to chase him down. Now the Bonessos on the frontier are bringing in the yellow jersey. You can see him back in the pack there. Virtually it's just a ceremonial ride as far as they're concerned, and Indurain must have been quite happy today to keep his powder dry tomorrow for the time trial. But Stephen, while we're watching this little group come in here now, and we look forward a bit to tomorrow, there have been times when Indurain even has not been his normal self in the last time trial, so perhaps we might see some of the gaps closing. I don't think he loses the yellow jersey, but do you think he's going to win the time trial tomorrow?
Well, I'm sure he wants to win the time trial. Like tomorrow, the time trial will suit him, but he also has a great advantage over Zule in the sense that he's starting off behind Zule. But I think tomorrow we're going to see no real change in the first 3 places overall. Although Jalabert is saying that he hasn't given his last word yet. He's only some 30-odd seconds behind Rees for the 3rd place, it was the place in the podium. So if Jalabert can get a few sprint points, for example on Sunday even, he can get very, very close to 3rd place in the podium. So I think we're going to see the 3rd place in the podium being disputed right to the very, very end. The only place that are really on up for grabs tomorrow are the places of Birain, Capucci, Escardin, Bonahera. They're all something like they're all 9, 10, 11, 12 overall, but they're only some 1 minute dividing the whole 4 of them.
Well, waiting for the big bunch to come in. We've seen Chingyal to come in to finish. Here comes Jarman, then he was part of that 12-man group. See, 2 minutes 30 seconds. That all happened in 29 kilometres. That shows you how hard that Armstrong ran. We saw Benu come in, Chingyal came in as well in that little group. We've also seen Dufo come in, and we've seen Jean-Cyril Rabin come in as well. So all the 12-man breakaway group that formed something like about 74 kilometres to go, and then split with some 29 kilometres to go when Armstrong took off. They're all now in as Yaman crosses the line, and I'm sure we're going to see a sprint finish again, because Abdul Jaffar's still trying to get every point he can for the green jersey competition, which is so clearly led at the moment by the rider from the Onse team. And in fact, Pantani here, off the front, off the back. That's amazing. There's no big mountain here.
Where is he? Off the...
Well, it's 3 kilometres to go.
Front. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah. He's got out the front of the crew.
Perhaps somebody told him it's uphill to the finish.
Yeah, and I think Pantani had a bad day in the mountains, unfortunately, but I think it was quite normal. It was due to the fact that he had a very bad crash in May. He spent 2.5 weeks completely off the bike. He had his head opened up. He got 6 stitches in his head, and he only rode a Tour of Switzerland before actually coming to the Tour de France. So he's very little racing miles in his legs for the last 2 months. So he came on form then very, very quickly then to the start of the tour. He had great rides in the Pyrenees, winning 2 stages, and then the Alps, and then of course he flopped then towards the end in the Pyrenees. So it was quite normal. When the form comes quick, it goes quick normally. So now he's looking forward to now is keeping his form he has and going right through to the World Championships in Colombia, because it being a very good climber circuit, he hopes to be able to maybe wear the World Championship jersey next year.
And unusually then to see Pantani trying to ride in here into 13th spot, if my arithmetic is correct, with the rest of the pack have got other ideas as well. We got down here, still got 2 kilometres to go, and if you see how he's out the saddle, it's a sort of draggy thing. On the profile of the course, it looked a bit steeper when I saw it, and I thought we were going to have a finish rather like the one we had at Charleroi, but it wasn't quite as stiff as that one. But you can see, looking back down there, the River La Vienne is just further down. It just comes up and up and up, very gradually all the way, and Pantani's still hanging on here at the front, the cycling Kojak, as they call him. Has he been singing at all since that last success of his?
No, he hasn't been singing, not in public anyway. So he said he's looking forward to going home now after the tour and going back and getting a few drinks and singing with his friend. I forget the name of his friend. His friend actually used to be a bike rider. He plays the guitar, and apparently they meet in his local pub every now and again, and they have a sing-song. So his ambition is to get the World Championship jersey and go back and sing in his local pub with the jersey on. So
I wonder if Terry Savalas will go, because Terry Savalas made a record some time ago. I forget what it was now, and it was bought by a lot of people, just the great fans of Kojak as such. Then get the two of them singing together, and if that's in Italian, they might flog a lot. And he's still away. Well, he certainly isn't going to like the time trial tomorrow, so he might as well at least try and get 13th place today.
Well, Fontani as well down on GC now. It's the only one that could have made a difference today really was Capucci, because from the Carrera team, that is anyway, because like I was saying the other day, like now the Carrera team are now 14 years now in existence and is sponsoring cycling teams, and now from I think it's from August, Carrera jeans and all Carrera clothing are going to be on sale in Ireland, being distributed in Ireland by the Dignan brothers.
Well, there we are. 1 kilometre to go. Pantani lying 13th overall in general classification. He's going to finish 13th, I think, today. It's not stage 13, stage 18 today. So the gap between himself and Madoué is round about over 3 minutes, and he's over 3 minutes clear of Lanfranchi. So he's not going to change his overall GC position, is he?
No, he's not going to change his GC position. He's so far down as well, like he's down 13th place.
And the main pack contain the yellow jersey. Indurain, the lead of 2 minutes and 46 seconds over on general classification. Safe in his pack. Still it is, who's second at 2:46. Rees 5:59. Jalabert 6:26. And that's a little tussle tomorrow for the time trial, which we'll bring you live on Eurosport. And then it's up sticks and Adam, lads, and we're all going way up into Paris. An awful long drive for many of the organisers and many of the press and many of the supporters of the Tour de France. But we were there on Sunday, and I'm sure the place will be packed out with people to welcome home. If Indurain still keeps the position he's got now, the Basques and the Spanish will be there in profusion. But if any of you have got friends, Americans, out in Paris over the weekend having fun out there, then I suggest you also come down here, or go down there to the finish on the Champs-Elysees and cheer what has been a very spirited performance from Lance Armstrong to get to the stage, getting away from that 12-man group. That means therefore that Pantani is 13th today, lies 13th over on general classification. He takes 13th spot, some 7 minutes and 33 seconds down on Lance Armstrong. And in fact, you see, we're due to finish about now at 27 miles per hour, but Armstrong's been in 7 minutes, so they've actually travelled about 28 miles an hour. Who from this mad gallop then is going to get 14th place? Chamil in the centre trying to go for it. Rees on the right-hand side decides to give it up then. They roll over the line. In fact, they didn't have too much of a lunch for that one, because I think they decided with about 14 points gone so far, 14 of the points already allotted, they might just well not bother about it, as the helicopter swings upwards to this massive area where you can see all the cars parked, the spectators come in, and there in the background the press room where she'll be going later on to get the results at Limoges.
The 18th stage of the Tour de France, a fitting tribute from Lance Armstrong to his fallen rider, his friend Fabio Casartelli. Super victory for the big-hearted Texan. The crowd knew what it was all about, and indeed he had a few words with us about his performance on the day, which was outstanding.
Easily the most emotional. Like I said earlier, we didn't plan that. It just we just wanted to stay here and try to get over our tragedy together. We didn't come here to win anymore. We just wanted to finish the bike race like he wanted to do. But today my legs were there, and I made it to the break, and then I made the attack, and from then on, really, until the last few kilometers, I felt nothing.
For this last week, you've learned an awful lot about the professional side of this sport. It is really a big family, isn't it?
Well, 2 days ago changed my attitude towards not only cycling, but towards my fellow cyclists, fellow professional cyclists. They showed tremendous class in giving up a stage in the Tour de France and letting us honor Fabio's memory, and that says a lot, because it only takes one person to ruin a special day like that, and for them to do that was classy.
So tomorrow it's the individual time trial, the day after this, of course. 46 kilometers around Lac de Vassières. Indurain looking unbeatable, but they're gunning the battle really for that podium spot, and Yellowbear's green jersey